Hello and welcome to the Saint Squad Show. I'm your host Wario from the biker Wario from Mario Kart World, and I really hate Mario.
I'm Ghostface, so who that dish? And what's your favorite scary movie?
John Hendricks, New Orleans Football, Daffy Shuck, Donald Shuck, Howard Shuck, Darkwing Shuck. It's time for Tyler Shuck.
It's the Saint Squad. Everything New Orleans Saints, every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from down in the Big Easy, the way only Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Saint Squad Show, starting now.
This truly is
all right, Wario.
Enjoying podcasting only the way that the Locked On Podcast Network can. Howdy, Who That Nation, and welcome back to the Saint Squad Show, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making it your first listen every Sunday and Wednesday. We have a unique, emphasis on unique this week, group of experts here ready to bring you a fun and informative show on everything New Orleans Saints. Today, we're going to be diving into, oh my goodness, there's a quarterback change. Tyler Shough is the quarterback. We talked about what would happen. They decided to roll with Shough. We'll talk about why that was the right move. If any of us think it probably wasn't, who knows? And then we're going to talk about the fact that it's not just Tyler Shough. Everyone else around him must step up as well. Who specifically needs to step up the most? The trade deadline is next week. Who's going to get traded? Will anyone get traded? We don't know. And then, of course, there's a game this weekend, so we'll get into our game picks and bold predictions. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. All right, guys. Not gonna address the elephant in the room. Let's get into this quarterback change. Quarterback change incoming. Oh my. Okay, that is freaky. It's scary.
But for those who are listening, Darian has a ghost face mask on, and he's got like some blood effect on it. So,
yeah.
I might as well there he is. Now, take your mask off, Darian. Jeez, no,
it usually happens in the third act. It usually happens in the third act. What's not scary is the Saints' future now, because there's a new quarterback, which means we can, reset expectations. Then they'll probably win out the rest of the season. No, but let's get into Tyler Shough being named quarterback one. John, why don't you start us off today?
Yeah, I think you looked at Sunday's game, you look at the Bears game, and I think the writing was on the wall. And we talked about this, in previous shows, just talking about that the leash was kind of short and things were just not coming together and such. And I don't think this was a solely thing saying it was all to blame on Spencer Rattler. And the thing is, it doesn't matter anymore. They made the change. Now it's Tyler Shough's show. He's going to be the guy for the foreseeable future. Kellen Moore saying on Wednesday, saying that this is not going to be a flip-flop. He even said that after the game on Sunday, that they're not going to do this flip-flop thing. It's going to be Tyler Shough. They're going to get a look at him. And let's be honest, this season is not going to magically turn around. It's not going to change much, but let's see what he can do to find and get a good evaluation on him to figure out what they need to do in the offseason. Because if he comes out and plays well, okay, maybe there's something to him that they want to look at for next year. Or if it goes to hell in a handbasket, then maybe they'll use that number one pick or two or three. Right now it's looking like number one. Look at on a quarterback or figure out what they need to do in free agency or in the offseason. But I don't think we're surprised at this. And this show has said long months ago that at some point they were going to turn to Tyler Shough. And I think it happened a little bit maybe earlier than we thought it was, but it's a move that needed to happen kind of. And, I would say this about Spencer is he's handled it extremely well. He's been a professional about it. And he said that too. He's not sulking. He's not bitter or anything like that. It's going to be a learning curve for him. I think Spencer still has a good future in this league, but as of right now, it's not with the Saints as their starter. It's the Tyler Shough show, and now it's a chance for everybody to dial back in and see what the rookie has. And I think that's somewhat exciting for us to at least pay attention to in the back half of the season.
Yeah. Darian, how are you feeling with the news?
I think John brought up a good point about the timing of it all. It feels like with the conversation of when would Shough get into the game, it felt like we kept going into checkpoints, right? Anybody who's plays racing games, which I'm sure Dylan is very familiar with. Anybody who's played racing games understands.
I don't play video games.
Oh no, that's not
I
really
race in the races. I'm out there trying to kill Mario.
That's on me. That's on me.
Turtle Shell.
I got out of character and forgot what character was.
Typical podcaster thinks you know more than the person actually doing the job.
So with racing games, you have checkpoints, right? You keep hitting these new points. You have to make it by this certain place. And I felt like when we kept getting to these checkpoints, we kept amending where and when we thought that Tyler Shough would enter for the Saints quarterback conversation. And I began to feel like either that game against the Panthers right before the bye week or right after the bye week was going to be the place where you would see Tyler Shough. One thing that caught me completely off guard is the idea of benching Spencer Rattler in the middle of a game. I didn't think that would be the way that they would insert Shough into this conversation. But now that they did, there was no going back. And Moore said it. He doesn't want to flip-flop. He doesn't want to do all of these things. But that was, to me, a telltale sign that you weren't going to go back to Rattler, even if it was for a week. Disadvantageous position that Shough is in and whatnot aside. But I kind of like the timing of it now. You get half a season, a little over half a season. You get the bye week. You get tough games. You get to go in with adjustments during that bye week. I think you get a lot of aspects that a starting quarterback is going to have to go through. It's not an entire season, but it's a 9-game sample size. And he'll be able to play the Dolphins. He'll be able to play the Jets. He'll be able to play the Titans. So if the Saints lose all of those games or lose 2 out of the 3 of those games, quite frankly, Shough probably is not going to be the starting quarterback in 2026 because they'll probably be in line for the first overall pick. And I think that I would love to do the history. I wonder how many times that 3 to 4 teams that are battling for that number 1 selection or that number 2 selection had the chance to face each other. The Saints played pretty much all of their competitors for that coveted number 1 spot outside of the Browns. That's one of the more interesting storylines to focus on moving forward. But when we're talking about strictly Tyler Shough, he has 9 games to evaluate the performance and the wins, something we talked about with Spencer Rattler. How did he play and what were the results? I think they'll be equally as important when deciding Shough's 2026 future in New Orleans.
Yeah, I think I'll bring up a good point. There's nobody that wants to win these games more over the next couple of weeks than Tyler Shough. Not only just because you want to get started on a good spot here, because you don't want next year, even if he is the next quarterback, to have everyone be like, guys, he's 0-7 as a starter, 0-10 as a starter, and it's going to be the same exact thing. And if he wins a couple of these games, if he beats the Jets and Titans, this quarterback class is not looking like one where there's going to be like, if you have the 6th pick, you still want to take a quarterback because there's so many good like skill position talents, pass rushers in this draft without the elite quarterback plays outside of like, your Fernando Mendozas of the world. And that doesn't always stop everybody, but you vastly help your chances in this draft by winning a couple games and making sure your team isn't drafting in that top spot because there just isn't a depth of quarterback talent. And that won't stop them from like, even if they don't get the first pick and he doesn't play well, I would expect them to be in the veteran quarterback market, but that's not very deep next year. I think I'm a fan of this move. I'm a fan of it, even though we talked about this is going to be putting him into the fire. But they weren't going to win this game anyway. And then in the best case scenario, you come out, you win, and you feel great about Tyler Shough. Worst case, he struggles against the Rams, and then you just look at it. Well, Rattler probably would have had the same, if not, worse performance, probably better. Who knows? They weren't going to win the game anyway, probably. So might as well throw your young guy out there now, see what he has. You've already made the change. You don't have to, look wishy-washy. Just go with it. Earn the job for next year over these next couple of weeks. If you look at our thermal, don't shuck it up is what I would say.
Don't shuck it up. And I think you bring up a great point. A huge conversation is Rattler could have done this. Rattler could have done that. And I want to address that a little bit. While I do think that Rattler played competently for the majority of the 2025 season, at the end of the day, it has to be about evaluation. And if you want to say just Rattler could have done that, Rattler could have done that. Well, if Rattler just would have done that for the entire 17-game slate, we'd never know what we have in Tyler Shough. And there's
only one thing that Rattler could have done over these past couple of weeks to keep this from happening, and that's win the games. And again, that's not all his fault, but yeah. Go ahead, Darius. Sorry to cut you off.
And it's fine. And that's something that we're going to talk about in segment 2, the fact that it's not all his fault and who needs to step up so that Shough ends up having better results. But the idea of Rattler could have done it. If Rattler just keeps doing that all year long, you never know what you have in your rookie quarterback. And if he keeps doing that with the same results, the Saints are going to be a bad team with Rattler at the helm. They're going to be an unsuccessful team with Rattler at the helm. And now you go into 2026 not knowing about Shough. To me, that's not worth it. And I understand the point of view of, see, it's not just a quarterback. I agree with it. Not only do I understand, I agree. But at some point, you have to know what you have in both guys. And you would never know that about Shough if he doesn't step on the field. So that's what I would say to people who are probably going to see the struggles of Shough and say, well, Rattler could have done that. Or see, we told you it wasn't just the quarterback. I think this is a part of the process that's pretty important and necessary.
Yeah, and you can't base this, like I've already seen people said he's not it, and you base it off of 39 snaps and coming in cold in a relief. Stop. Like, y'all got to stop. Like, I get it. There's the team Rattler, there's the team Shough, all this other stuff, but stop. Like, you got to keep the same energy in somewhat aspects too. Rattler got all these games. Let Tyler have a few games at least before you just say he's not the guy. We don't know. He could come out and look like hot garbage, but he's going to struggle a bit. And the thing is, Spencer did the same thing last year. He struggled some, and some of it was his fault. Some of it wasn't his fault. You're going to see the same thing with Tyler Shough. And so it is important for them to get this right. And the sad part is the quarterback spot has just not been where it needs to be since Drew left. And this is the reality, is this team has not really prepared well in terms of getting a quarterback. And now look, you talk about what could have been. The only argument I would have for that is when Jameis got hurt. When he was started 5-2 and he was all hot and everything, and then he got his ACL torn and all that, we never got to see what Jameis was going to be able to do. But, you know, the Carr stuff came in, it just didn't happen. And so it's just frustrating because, you know, the Saints have just not had a quarterback solution for the longest time. Something always has derailed it, if you will. But, you know, you got to give Tyler some chances here. You can't just sit there and say, he's not the guy. And when he throws a pick in his first game against the Rams, which is going to be a good defense that he's going to face, that pressure, that's going to be tough for him in his first audition as a starter for this team.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's going to be really tough is he's also fighting with the ghost of rookie quarterbacks. And Dylan mentioned it earlier about how the guys don't necessarily seem like the guys. And I feel like there's been some risers who we probably didn't look at coming into the season. But at the end of the day, it just takes one team to love you. And if the Saints love the guy and Shough doesn't put them out of reach of the guy, it almost doesn't. It probably, I ain't gonna say, I can't say with definite, but it almost doesn't matter what Shough does. If they're within reach of a player that they absolutely love that high, I think the odds are they take them. And that's tough because you really can't do it. I'm not gonna say you can't do anything about it, but it's a really difficult thing to compete against. You're competing against somebody who is all potential, who is all questions, and a lot of times those guys come with only focusing on the upside. So that it's a tough one for Shough, but he's gonna have to prove that the Saints don't need a quarterback. He has 9 games to do it, whether that's developing quickly, whether that's getting downfield, whether that's showing poise, whatever it may be. He's going to have to show to Kellen Moore, not to us, not to me, John, Dylan, the fans, not to anybody, but he's going to have to show to Kellen Moore that he is a franchise quarterback, or at least is worth another season figuring that out.
Yeah. John, give me one thing that Tyler Shough does that Spencer Rattler doesn't with his game.
I think with him, he pushes the ball down the field if he can. I think that's the biggest thing. It's something that we didn't see a lot from Spencer. And so it came later, I guess, if you will, but Tyler will try to push it downfield a little bit more is what I would tell you is he's going to be a little bit, I'd say their decision making is probably about the same, but that's probably what you're going to get is Shough's going to try to take some shots here. And I think that's probably what we should be able to expect here.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's, again, pushing the ball down the field. It's not a one-man job. There's got to be people to call the play to do it and catch the ball whenever he does it. So coming up next, we're going to talk a little bit about that because it's not just it wasn't just Spencer Rattler. If Spencer Rattler was the quarterback and everybody else was playing well, he might still be the quarterback. Who knows? It's an unknowable question, but maybe Tyler Shough will get a little bit more out of them because of his skill set matching with their skill sets. We'll talk about what everyone else needs to do coming up next. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus award than anyone else, as of August 2025. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention to how we craft every model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Yeah, that's right. I have the gloves too. All right, let's jump into our second segment. We're talking everyone else on the offense, because, Tyler Shough can't do it alone. I've said that a billion times already. Let's start off with I'm going to throw the biggest fish out there first, of someone I think that needs to be better to help him succeed. And there's a ton of names, but I'm going to go with Kellen Moore. I think
Ding, number one answer.
Number one answer. It has to be Kellen Moore, because if Tyler Shough tries to run the offense that Spencer Rattler's been running for the past couple of weeks, it's going to look bad. It's going to look ugly. That's just not his game. I think they have to air it out more. They have to call more deep shots. And they called a couple whenever he was in, but you don't have that chemistry. You don't have the practice reps with those guys. Now you do this week. Maybe you can find a little bit more consistency, chemistry, and he can find Shaheed down the field. But I think it all starts with Kellen Moore.
Yeah, no, I would want to agree. I mean, I think this is and I think this is what was so frustrating about the Bucs game, is the run game was just non-existent. I mean, Kamara got 6 rushes. And so I get it. You didn't have Kendre Miller, but you brought up Devin Neal and stuff, or you have Devin Neal on the roster. You have Taysom on the roster. Just no commitment to the run. And the thing is, Alvin was having some decent success on the ground. So it's not like the ground game just wasn't going anywhere. And you got to think about this too. In relief, Tyler Shough still threw it 30 times. And Spencer threw it 20 times. I mean, they threw the ball a lot, even against, with the Bucs and Todd Bowles' defense. It's just like, it's not a good winning recipe. So I say all that to say, Kellen Moore has got to formulate a better game plan. He's got to establish the run. That offensive line has got to push some people around. They've got to get some type of rhythm. And this is the same thing I said about Spencer Rattler, is you got to make him feel comfortable. And if you can't get the run game going and you take the pressure off the quarterback, it's only going to end in disaster. So I'm with you, Dylan. It's got to start with Kellen Moore.
Yeah, no, 100%. And Kamara, I don't know if anybody's going to say Kamara, so I'll be limited on this. But Kamara had 15 rushes against Buffalo when we were all championing the run game. He's seen 11 at most since then, right? Yeah. So 15 against Buffalo, then it went down to 8 against New York, 10 against New England, 11 against Chicago, and then 6 in last game. The idea of dropping Kendre Miller due to injury and just absolutely abandoning those touches, no, those touches need to be supplanted. Like, Kendre Miller did not get hurt, and now all of a sudden all of Kendre Miller's usage went to the side. That should go to not just Taysom Hill, who they tried to use in running, but you got to use Devin Neal. The fact that Devin Neal had 0 rushing attempts, in my opinion, is all on coaching. That is absolutely ridiculous. I want to evaluate him as a runner, yes, but then just from a pure X's and O's and game plan, why are we not using him? Why is it when he comes on the field, we know he's either going to block, which he's really good at. I really like his pass protection reps, but I want to see him run. He had 3 catches. I didn't expect Devin Neal to have more receptions than rushing attempts in his first game. That wouldn't have been on my bingo card. And him having none at all would have been an even more obscure thing to think of. So I don't get it. I don't get it. That's on coaching, though. You can't make the most of touches that you never get.
Yeah. By the way, both running backs popped up on the first injury report. So Alvin's got an ankle injury and Neal's on there too. So, I mean, it's tough, and you don't have Velus Jones Jr. anymore. I mean, you brought Audric Estime on there for the practice squad, so he might get called up, but it's tough. You gotta, I mean, everybody's got to play better as a whole, but the offense, I say that Kellen Moore talked about offensive changes. He said everything is evaluation, and it's not just the quarterback position. So I'm curious to see what that is, if there are any changes, because he operates with a lot of the same personnel in his. If you ever look at the snap counts, it's usually Shaheed, Olave, and then Juwan Johnson. Those are the top three, and then you got Kamara, and then you might get somebody else in there, but those are the top four guys, and Juwan's getting a lot of snaps. And these guys, if they're going to play, they got to catch the ball. They can't afford to turn it over. I mean, the way that they self-destructed against the Bucs was just unheard of. I mean, honestly, you believe it because it's the Saints, but I mean, these guys are paid really well, and it's unfortunate that you can't get any help from your pass catchers that are paid to catch the ball and to hold on to the ball.
Yeah. Darian, if you had to give one name, who has to be better?
It's Chris Olave, in my opinion. If there's one player who I think needs to take that step up in order for Tyler Shough to really ascend to his rookie year ceiling, it's got to be Chris Olave. Yes, I could put it on all of these receivers who need to step up. I could put that title on them. But Olave is the leader of that group. And Shough needs a go-to target. And if there's going to be someone, I don't know if it's going to be Juwan, the typical tight end, notion. I just don't see that for Shough and the Saints.
Shout out, Lance.
Shout out to Lance, man. But when it comes to the Saints, Tyler Shough needs a receiving threat that is going to help him when he's not perfect. I don't think that Rattler really ever got that. I think that was one of the bigger issues, and it's something that you could not have expected Rattler to do. Rattler, the 5th-round pick, second-year quarterback, is not here to elevate Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed and Juwan Johnson. He needs to be bailed out. And you know what? Tyler Shough's going to need to be bailed out too. So if there's going to be a go-to target on his team, it needs to be Olave. We've had conversations on whether or not he's a wide receiver one or not. Well, guess what? He's the Saints wide receiver one, and he needs to be Shough's wide receiver one. So when we're talking about players who need to step up, every quarterback needs a run game, which we just touched on, and they need a go-to target. That's going to be the thing that's going to help Shough more than anything else. But can Olave be that guy is the question.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're looking at wide receiver. We're talking a lot, but if he could be wide receiver one, and that is a decision that they don't have a long time to make, because either you can trade him in the next week or so, or wait to give him that extension, or wait to shop him in the offseason. They have a lot of decisions to make around Chris Olave, and I think this is a very, very important game, seeing as though it is a couple days before the trade deadline. I think this is a game where he has to step up. I don't think that there's any dancing around that. He has to be way better than he has been. And I can't believe we're saying this after a game where he had like 8 catches or whatever. Yeah, but it was just the ones that he didn't have. Yeah. It's just the ones that he didn't have that made it worse.
Yeah, they were both targeted 12 times each. Shaheed and Olave were both 12 targets. So, I mean, they got their fair share of looks.
Yeah, high volume, but I don't know if the impact was there. Like, I think the week before against Chicago, the impact was there. You saw the impact of those touches. You felt the impact of those touches. I didn't feel like you really felt that impact last week against the Buccaneers. So,
agreed.
Yeah.
Well,
all right, John.
I was going to tell you, play the soundbite, Dylan.
Juwan.
Yeah, it's Juwan Johnson for me, and so I understand his season has not been remotely what everybody thought it was going to be, especially with the pay and all this other stuff. He's got to be better. He's got to be there because he is going to be Tyler Shough's guy. And something he said after the game in the presser, he's talking about, I got to throw better balls to Juwan. He's got to throw better passes to Juwan, so that he's going to trust Juwan a lot in these situations. And Juwan's got to step up here. He's the guy that I feel like is going to see increased targets. I think he's going to be the one that he's going to be looking for, Shough, in a lot of these situations. And I know that's not going to sit well with a lot of Saints fans, but the cold, hard reality is the tight end can, in most cases, is a security blanket for a lot of the quarterbacks that are out there, especially if you're a rookie. And so I would expect Juwan to see an increased workload. You got to hang on to the ball. You got to be able to catch the ball. You got to do a lot of things that you're asked to do. And so I would expect 83 to see an increased workload. The problem is, does it happen? I don't know. I really am perplexed at how this receiving core, whether it's coaching or just execution, it's just not there. You're not executing in a lot of areas. And so I'm looking at Juwan. He's got to be the guy, and and Lance Moore agrees with me. I know that.
Yeah, if I wasn't going to go with Kellen, it would have been Juwan, because you mentioned that safety blanket. He needs the tight end over the middle. He needs to be able to trust that whenever the deep ball isn't developing, or people are covered, or he just needs somebody to be that person, and it would be the tight end. But you can't feel safe. I'm sure he won't be thinking about it in the moment, just because he knows he has to trust that guy to catch the ball. Yeah. But it just is so much better to have a tight end that you can trust, and you simply can't trust, because Juwan can go off. He can have these games where he's in player of the game conversations afterwards, but it's just far too inconsistent. It's been like that for 4 years now, 5 years, or however long it's been. Just untrustworthy, not consistent enough to be that guy. But also bad news, you paid him the 3-year, $30 million contract, so he is the guy for the foreseeable future there.
And you know what? We didn't talk about him a lot. Are you going to keep going about Juwan, John?
No. I was going to say something else. Go ahead.
We didn't talk a lot about him, so I do want to I alluded to it. I want to kind of get back to it real quick. I think Alvin is in that discussion. I think Alvin has to be the guy, because you don't have Kendre. I don't know what their utilization of Devin Neal is going to be. That's still up in the air. Last week didn't give me any optimism that it's going to be a high usage rate. I'm not even just talking about how effective he is, just how much he's used. It's not going to be high for Devin Neal if last week was any indication. But I need Alvin's contributions in the run game to offset the amount of passing attempts that Rattler saw. I thought there was too many 30, 35 passing attempt games out of Rattler. I don't want that from Shough. I know that goes back to play calling. I also want to see more inclusion of Kamara in the pass game, where get him in some space, get him some easy yards. That is a thing, not even just was. I've still seen it this season, but it's a thing that can keep the offense moving forward. Do I think the 40-yard reception days out of Alvin are still here? I don't know about that, but I do think that he can get you a 4-7-yard completion that allows you to keep moving the sticks forward on a critical down. I think he still has the ability to move you forward, get in second and manageable, third and manageables. I think that Kamara can be a very important piece. I think in the same way that Juwan is a safety blanket, in the same way that I think that Olave is going to be a go-to guy, maybe a safety blanket in important moments, I think that Kamara is another one of those real safety blankets for the rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, me and Ross did a stat, and I'll preface this by saying I don't remember exactly who it was, but we did find the last time a Saints running back had a 30-yard rush on a play, a rush of 30 yards or more. Can y'all guess when it was?
When?
Oh, it'd have to be 2021 or 2020, maybe. I know the last one that had it that was a non-running back was Taysom. Taysom had that on it for a while. Yeah. But running back wise, shoot, I'll be dangerous. I'll say I was Latavius Murray, maybe. That's a way.
Is your name? I think it was Ty Montgomery.
Wow.
But I know it was 2021. Right. It was 2021.
I'm gonna look up.
Right. In the ballpark, I guess.
Yeah, it's around there. But it's no Alvin. He can do it in the passing game, but he hasn't done it in the rushing game. You have Devin Neal, who you like, but is he fast enough? Is he going to be that guy to break off? You just need bigger plays in the running game. We talk about explosive plays in the passing game all the time, especially with the quarterback. So much focus on the quarterbacks and this fast receiving core. It has to happen in the run game too, because that opens up and makes life so much easier for these quarterbacks. And the Saints just haven't had that. And I've wanted them to go after a guy like a running back that is just pure speed for a while, and I feel like that would really take a lot off of AK's back over the next couple of years. But we haven't gotten that guy, and I do like Devin Neal. I liked that pick. It was just looking for a guy who is like a burner. And I think I think that just adds. You look at like Devon Achane, you look at like James Cook, that just adds so much to the offense.
I was gonna say I know they're probably not in the market to trade, but if you could get Tyjae Spears from the Titans, I don't know, maybe that'd be interesting for me. I doubt it, but one thing I was gonna add on this one is the offense. Honorable mention is Trevor Penning. He had 3 penalties last week. They had 2 holding calls, a false start. And so I would also preface this caveat about the offense doing better, but I think the defense has got to repeat their performance because the defense did everything they needed to win a game. And any other situation quarterback, that was Drew, Derek Carr, Jameis Winston or anything, if they had that going, they probably would have won that game easily against the Bucs. So the defense cannot afford to regress in this aspect. I mean, the Bucs were averaging 3.8 yards per play, and they were 3 of 13 on third down. There was nothing you could have asked better against this defense to win a game. They finally get their act together. The offense can't do it. Diddly poo. So
yeah,
that's unfortunate.
Real quick, I had to look up. I was like, man, how long? It was 36 yards against the Carolina Panthers in the season finale that year. And it was a 100-yard game by Ty Montgomery. Well, only one of two of his career, and the only one that came in the Saints uniform, of course. But 2020 didn't play a lot in 2020, but when he got his chances, he made the most of them.
Yeah. All right. Well, we talked about some of these players, and we've talked about some that might not be here in a couple of weeks. The trade deadline is next week, and so coming up next, we're going to talk about who might get traded, who we don't think is going to get traded, all that fun coming up next. Guys, whenever I'm not on the track, I'm in a stadium watching my favorite teams play. And I don't have that much time. I already have all these rivals in my job. I don't have time to worry about the minutia of getting tickets. Like queues, hidden fees, login screens. It's too much for me to handle because I already have such a stressful job on my day-to-day basis. And that's why I use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. I just pulled up Gametime right now. Can't recognize my face. And I'm seeing Saints tickets for $45. You can catch Tyler Shough's home debut against the Atlanta Falcons, who even we don't like. And you can catch that for $45. Are you kidding me? Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go download Gametime today.
Tommy Wario.
All right, jumping back into it, we have the trade deadline. John, give me the exact date for the trade deadline.
November 2nd. So I think that's
2nd, yes.
or it's the 3rd because it's the Tuesday. So it's the Tuesday following the game, which I think is the
4th.
4th. Sure, we'll go with the 4th. So,
all right, John, thank you for having me. I did. Yes, I did throw that on you. I just assumed it had slipped my mind. I was wrong. Yeah. I was wrong, and I'll never trust you again. Okay. No, I'm joking. Okay. Let's get into this trade deadline talk. We're gonna give one person that we think gets traded, or if you don't think anyone's get traded, you can also say that. Start off with John.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the obvious would be Rashid Shaheed. I think that's where it's really kind of going, especially since they've had contract talks with Chris Olave. I know people are going to make offers, and unless they get a Godfather offer, they can't refuse. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think that you really deal Olave here. I think Shaheed is the guy that you could, but conversely, if you let him walk in free agency, you could get a comp pick, and you probably aren't going to get as good compensation as you probably think you could, especially because he's coming off a pretty tough game, and he's also hurt right now with a hip injury. But I feel like of the likely people to get traded, it's been the hottest rumor that people are looking for receivers. Think about teams that need another weapon. He can return the ball. He can do a lot of things. He can run you a jet sweep. He is a guy that, when used properly, is very dangerous. And so I think Shaheed makes the logical choice. I know you didn't ask, and I know I always do this type of stuff. Defensively, I feel like it's Pete Werner. You know what I mean? I think that's a guy that I don't know how you can move on to some aspects, but they keep phasing in Danny Stutzman. They keep phasing in Isaiah Stallbird and taking Pete Werner off the field. I feel like that they could, if they could find somebody to trade him. I just don't know if they can. That would be the other one I'd put out on defense.
Yeah. I think it feels like of everybody on this team, Werner is the one they're preparing to live without. Like, I think that's the way that I would say it. It also feels weird that I'm not gonna say weird because I think we've complained about Werner and the fan base a lot. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of buzz around him. As popular of a name as he is within the Saints circles as a trading piece, it doesn't feel like national media has picked up the people are calling for Pete Werner. I even saw the Cesar Ruiz could be had at a certain price, but I just don't feel like Werner's getting that buzz. I'm not going to act like I don't know why or it's completely like shocking to me, but it is a little surprising as a veteran piece. I thought maybe that rumor would float out there at some point.
Yeah, I think San Francisco would come to mind, especially after losing Fred Warner. I mean, I know they got depth and stuff, but there are teams that need linebackers out there. And so I think the Saints would be able to move on. And I just don't know that you're going to get the compensation because everybody overvalues how much the Saints could actually get back in some of these players. Like, it's just not going to happen. You're not going to get first, second round picks. You're not going to get all this crazy compensation for some of these players. But it's kind of how it goes. I could also see Dylan Radins being on the move. I mean, there's a guy that the offensive line, depth, former starter, any teams that need a guy like that. He hasn't been used really, whether that's good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, I think he's somebody else as a low-key piece to keep an eye on.
Yeah. If I were to pick one name that wasn't Rashid Shaheed or Pete Werner, I'd probably go with Trevor Penning is someone that I think could maybe have more, because he is just such like a project guy. He, now he is versatile. He has played around on the offensive line, and I don't think they're going to get a ton for him, but I think that they could probably flip him for a day 3 pick, which at this point would be a win because it's certainly not looking like something that I think would make a priority in terms of getting an extension for him this offseason at right guard. You might want to, or the left guard, you might want to look around at your different options. Just because he has had some penalty work, he's had some injuries. It hasn't been completely efficient, whatever, on the field. He hasn't been terrible for sure. I think he's been better at guard than at tackle. But I think that could also just help you get something for him rather than moving on. That is the person I would be trying to trade if I were the Saints. Now, those guys, to be honest, I don't know. It's just so hard. I feel like the trade deadline in the NFL is the biggest gap between talked about moves and actual moves. It's been super quiet. There's not a ton of activity. I wouldn't be surprised if none of these people get moved. But I think most likely is Rashid Shaheed.
I'll throw somebody out there that I feel like was hot and then wasn't. Carl Granderson. It felt like Granderson's stock was pretty high. And since Young's came around, Granderson's been pretty quiet. I don't feel like I've seen a lot of pop plays by him. He hasn't had any sacks in the last few games. It's a little odd. I thought that somebody like for San Francisco might have came calling for Granderson, but it just feels like all buzz around him died in the last month. And that was a player who, if somebody comes calling, I would still deal. I'm still comfortable making that move. I think that you'll probably need to, I would like to improve at that position anyway. And I know that taking him away is a momentary subtraction, but I think I'm okay I think I'm okay investing in that position in next year's draft class. If that means I have to replace either Granderson or Young, who's been playing really well. But if I get a guy like a Reese or a Bain, who I feel like can come in and be a real dynamic pass rusher next to him, we're seeing more guys. I think this is a trend I'm seeing more in the NFL. I feel like I'm seeing more is the same way people started to get 2 number 1 receivers or 2 guys who could be the lead guy in their receiving room. It feels like more people are trying to get 2, if not 3, really talented pass rushers. So I wouldn't mind trading Granderson. I do think the obvious answer, like John said, is Rashid. I think Shaheed is he's a player who can fit in so many different systems that so many other teams would be attracted to him, because you want to talk about versatility as a specialty speedster. Everybody wants that. So I think that he has a lot of value. But if we're not going to talk Shaheed, I wonder about Granderson's stock.
Got one more for you too, Alante. And the place for him, I'd say, is Detroit. They just had Rock Yassin and Arthur Millette in their secondary. And granted, they're fine, but if there's a team that I would look at, and if they do come a call in and saying they need a corner or something, I think Alante could be had at a decent price. Not saying I'd want to trade him away, but at the same time, I could get it and I could understand it. You know what I mean? I think Quincy Riley's played really well. Kool-Aid had a really nice bounce back game. I don't feel like we talked about enough is he did a great job on Emeka Egbuka. I mean, that goal line stand aside, I mean, Egbuka only had 3 catches in that game, and one of them was because of blown safety coverage. So I thought Kool-Aid and Quincy Riley, that's encouraging to see that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Go ahead, Dylan.
I was going to say, what I was going to add is with some of these names, you do need, if you want to trade them, you kind of need them to help you out a little bit. And the big one that came to mind was Carl Granderson. You talked about it. He came out strong, he started strong, and then kind of died down. I'm going to read off his pressure numbers for this season.
Okay.
All right. Game 1 and game 2 each, he had 3 total pressures and 2 sacks each per PFF. They accredited 2 sacks to him. I don't know if that's exactly how much he has on the year.
I think because a sack and a half.
It counts
like
as a
PFF.
Yeah. On PFF. Anyway, 3 and 3, and then 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1. He has not had a game with more than 2 pressures in it in the past couple of weeks. And I think that, with him already having a contract, a team's going to have to be ready to pay him. They want someone that's going to be productive, and that just hasn't happened for Carl Granderson. So, and Alante, I don't think has been incredible this year either. He loads of talent, and I think that he's versatile, jack of all trades, master of none, and that does have a place. And you were talking about the fact that they do have Arthur Mollett and all that. And I think that Alante would be better in a system that has a Kyle Hamilton in it. So I think he'd be a better fit there maybe right now. But you do need the players to help you out in that case.
Yes. And to the idea of Granderson, I know this isn't directly to the trade piece, but going with the scenario of getting a young guy, whether in the first round or early in the draft, if Granderson drops to your 3rd pass rusher, if he drops into kind of a more rotational, not the guy you depend on next to Chase Young, I also think that could change the conversation around him. Because I look at a guy like Chris Rumph, and I know that's dropping down, but I think Rumph is good in his role. I really think that he interjects a lot of energy when he comes in. I think he makes plays sporadically, but my expectation is for him to make plays sporadically. Sometimes we see players get thrusted into positions that they're just not meant to be in. And I think Granderson has performed admirably as a pass rusher, but I also think that he'll be maximized and probably meet expectations a lot easier as a 3rd guy, because I just don't think we'd be looking at him as a 10-sack person. And that's what it became early in the season. People were, he can be a 10-sack guy, and he's gotten close before, but I don't see him in that realm. I just don't. So I think that could change. Yeah. I think that could change how we view him in a different role. Kind of like, and this is, throw this out here, Marquez Callaway got thrusted into a wide receiver 1 role. And
not the name I thought you were going to go with.
I know. I went way back. You know what I'm saying? So, nobody – I think Marquez Callaway could have been a good receiver in New Orleans if he didn't have to be a wide receiver 1. I just think that he was never going to be that. And I think there's a couple of players who get put in those positions, and, absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. But, that's just how I view it, to be honest. We'll never know. But I think that certain players just in different roles could be more successful. And that's kind of how I view Granderson.
Dude, shout out to Lil Jordan Humphrey while we're talking about
shout out to Lil Jordan Humphrey. You got any other wide receivers? The Saints had a spinning rotation of wide receivers.
That's right. It was maddening for a while if they could have just got a wide receiver. Sticking with wide receiver conversation, I would say I know his name's come up a bit. I would maybe be a little bit shocked if Cooks does get traded. I think here's why I say that. I know it's a possibility, but a couple of things is Cooks and Shough have worked a lot together. So now I believe that Shough has somebody in Brandon Cooks. And then when Shough stepped in, Cooks was the first one to come over and tell him, hey, man, just keep doing what you're doing in practice, really kind of in that leadership role. So I think Cooks could help out and fill in some of the gaps for – whether it's if Shaheed does get traded or anything, then I think Cooks can step up a little bit. But I'd really be surprised if Cooks does move on. I know it's been pronounced and a lot of people have talked about it, but I think he could be staying now that Shough is the quarterback.
Yeah, I think that you get the most out of them. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we come here on the Wednesday show next week and nothing happened at all.
There's very good possibility. You always hear NFL trade down. Well, they almost had a deal in place for this or that. It happens every year. You get umpteen million rumors, and maybe 2% of it's true, and then actually 0.5% of it actually happens.
Yeah. It's like the first round of the NFL draft. Everybody talking about what happened, it will happen, and then no, really?
No, exactly.
All right. Well, what we will be talking about next week is the result of this weekend's game against the Los Angeles Rams, and maybe if we're lucky, it'll be a win, but maybe not. We'll see what each of us predicts coming up next.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Thanks, Cody.
I could barely see. Oh, we're back. Let's go into our last segment of the night. It is, the Games of Games.
It's the same one every week. It's the same segment every week.
It's the same segment. Hey, you know how much easier that makes my life? A lot. Let's go into game picks and bold predictions. It is the game against the Los Angeles Rams. Maybe some of us will think they're going to win. We'll see. We'll start off with Ross, actually, because he's not here, but he did text me his prediction. Oh, okay. And can y'all guess? I want y'all to guess his prediction. Predict his prediction.
Gee, I think he went with the Rams because he's smart. And then I think as far as the score, he probably went like 27-13. And then I think his bold prediction was something Tyler Shough related.
Y'all know not going to guess his bold prediction. But Darren, give it a
try. Give me a hint, man. Point me in a direction.
A running back one.
Oh,
Devin Neal going for 100? Is he that bold?
That was what I was about to say.
Or is he talking to Taysom? Taysom going for 100. That could be another one. That could be a bold one.
All right.
Devin Neal scores his first touchdown. He has the Rams win by 2 scores. He has the same. Rams gonna win by 17 plus. That's what I'm guessing.
Ooh, okay, so Ross's prediction is Rams 24, Saints 10, and his bold prediction is a rushing touchdown by Audric Estime.
Yeah, because like I said earlier, they're going to call him up for the practice squad, I'm sure. So yeah.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun. I thought Audric Estime was going to be a awesome running back. Maybe he still will. There's plenty of room. We talked about it earlier. There's plenty of room for more running in this offense. So if you can,
really? I know somebody you can tell about that.
Yeah, I know a few people.
All right, Darian, why don't you start us off with your prediction?
I think I honestly kind of projected, and I said that Ross was give the same prediction that I gave, but I think that the Rams win this game by about 2-3 scores, 17 points. I'm projecting a 27 or a 30-13 game. I think that's probably the score range. I don't know if it's going to be easy for Shough this game. I know understatement of the year, but I think that he probably gets a early score, maybe 2 early field goals, and then a touchdown pretty late.
I like it. It'd be, this is an interesting first week to have to go, have your first start. Tough opponent. I think I don't know if we're going to have someone save the graphic tonight. John.
Did he do bold prediction? Did you get bold prediction?
My bold prediction too? Okay. My bold prediction is that
Byron is a segment.
Young. Yeah, I thought he wanted one and then give the other. So I was like, just one at a time.
No, sir. Not how we work around here.
Listen, I'm a Sunday guy. All right. This whole Wednesday thing is still new to me. I think I've done it a few times this month, but let's not, pay attention to that. Except for make sure you're logging me. But anyway, I'm gonna go with Byron Young gets shut off the sack stat sheet this week because that hasn't happened this year. He's had at worst a half sack against San Francisco, but every other game he's had at least a sack. He's had a sack and a half or more in 3 games. So that means he's gotten to the quarterback and brought him down on 2 separate occasions in at least 3 games this year. But this week, I think that the duo of Fuanga and Banks are going to shut out at least Young. I think Verse may get him one. I'm not going to go so bold to say that neither one of these guys off the edge gets one, but I'm going to say Byron Young, who is 3rd in the league in sacks, ends with 0.
That would be a fantastic step forward in statistic. John, give me your game pick and bold prediction.
Yeah. All right.
Let me ask, Darian, do you ever tell everybody what your favorite flavor of yogurt is? I don't know. I'm just curious. Anyways,
did you? It was
funny. Here. Yes, exactly. But it's okay. No worries. Back to the actual reality. Look, Saints are going to win this game. We know this. This is just how it is. There's nobody that's going to pick them. This is going to be a clean sweep. I will ask you what you are on if you do pick the Saints somehow. I don't care if it's the element of surprise. They're just not going to be able to slow Matthew Stafford down, who gets Puka Nacua back this week. And before all this, Devontae Adams had 3 touchdowns. So their receiving core is very good. You got Kyron Williams. They're just too good. Like the Rams are a team that you just don't match up with, right? And so I'm going to take the Rams 31-14. I don't think that's a crazy thing that the Rams are going to win by 2 scores. And bold prediction is Tyler Shough's first start. He will have a multi-touchdown passing game. He will finish with 2 touchdown passes. That is my bold prediction.
All right. I like it. It's similar to mine, but I'll change.
Well, I claimed it first.
I know.
I'm kidding. You're allowed to have stuff.
Barely. This network doesn't let me do anything.
Yeah, it's because you're Wario. Why? Blue turtle fill time.
No. All right. I'm gonna go with the Rams 31, Saints 17. And my bold prediction in this one, actually, can I change my score?
Sure.
I mean
Rams 31.
No, you're not allowed to change anything.
Saints 21. And I think that because my bold prediction is that I think that us as the group and the fan base is going to feel better about the offense than the defense after this game. I think we're going to be coming in complaining that the Saints defense could not stop the playmakers, or like Kyron Williams is going to get ugly. And I think that we're going to be like, all right. I had my other one was going to be 2 30+ yard touchdown passes from Tyler Shough. I think they connect on 2, one with Olave, one with Shaheed. So I was going to go down that vein. And I think if that happens, if you start to see some progression on the offense side of the ball, everyone's going to be happy because you don't expect them to win this game. You just want to see some progress, step forward, and maybe unlock some things that you've been missing for the past couple of weeks. But on the defensive side of the ball, I do worry about their missed tackles. I worried about some blown coverages that we've seen against this offense. And I think it could end up being a game where we spend all week talking about how Tyler Shough matches up with the Rams defense, but how does the Saints defense match up with the Rams offense? I don't think very well. I have 31-21 as my final score. Sorry, I took away a field goal from Blake Grupe.
No, Blake Grupe took away a field goal from Blake Grupe. But I wonder, what are the most important matchups? Because when you were talking about the defense, Just come on, just keep going.
That's a good one, Darian. I'm sorry. That was a good one.
When you talk about the defense, I started thinking, we talk about Kool-Aid and how he's been improving. Well, Puka's coming back this week. That's the expectation. You're going to have Adams, right? You got some talent. Do we think that McKinstry can keep his hot streak up?
I don't know. I think that's just too much to ask. I think it's
so. This week, honestly, okay. I think it might be Jonas Sanker. Even more so than Kool-Aid McKinstry. Just I think over the top, you can get beat by Stafford's arm and Puka Nacua being Puka Nacua. I think that's a tough ask for a rookie safety. Although he's had a lot of playing time this year, but we've seen some blown coverage in the past. Not all on Jonas Sanker, but I just think that you need these safeties to be there. So I'm going to be watching the safeties even more so than Kool-Aid McKinstry. Although Kool-Aid McKinstry, you would love to see him ride the momentum from having a great game last week. And if he can come in and win his snaps against Puka Nacua, you're feeling great, I think.
Yeah, if Kool-Aid comes out of this game looking good, I think it's going to be a huge shift in how we talk about him to build off the momentum of last week, having that goal line moment against Ibuka, having just the overall strong game and limited game out of Ibuka. That wasn't all on Kool-Aid, but he did take a decent amount of snaps against him. If he comes out this week, he makes a play on Devontae Adams with the ball in the air, or he makes a play against Puka Nacua with the ball in the air. Forbid he gets an interception. Like, I think if these things happen and Kool-Aid looks like he's finally turning the corner, the conversation around him and the cornerback position, I think, is going to drastically change. And I know this is bold predictions, but when you said that we'll walk away feeling better about the offense, it just made me think about that. So I thought it was something to mention.
Yeah, no, for sure. Any other thoughts that y'all have on this game, John?
I'm just curious to see. I mean, this comes in because Sean McVay. I mean, the Rams have had the Saints number, right? And so I think I'm interested to see if Brandon Staley can adjust, because I think it can get ugly quickly. But specifically, want to see how they can. I mean, they just they have the better talent, and I just feel like the problem with the Saints. It's been this for years, and I've harped on this. I don't know how many times. This is going to be like 1,000,001, but. They just can't find a sync. They cannot get the offense and defense in sync. And I'm curious to see if Brandon Staley can do some things early on that may give some opportunities for Shough in the offense. So if we can get Kellen Moore to do better play call and have a better game plan, and then Brandon Staley to be able to isolate, I don't expect them to completely shut them down, but they could have a chance at least making this interesting. And so I think that's what I'm looking forward to is Brandon Staley. Can he have a at least somewhat repeat performance of last week against the Bucs?
Yeah. And one thing I'll say is, and this is tough to ask for a quarterback in his first game, but one of the bigger criticisms out of Tyler Shough's scouting report was the idea of how he manages pressure and the fact that he does not do well against that. But he's going against the Rams, who are one of the best teams in the league at generating pressure. I talked about Byron Young, but they also have guys like Jared. They know how to get to the quarterback. And if there was a game that we're going to test the biggest weakness on a rookie quarterback's scouting report, it would be this one. And it's tough that it's your first game. Imagine that. You're being thrown into the NFL, right? This is the pinnacle of football, and you're going against a team that tests your biggest weakness in your very first start. This is tough. And there's no amount of words. There's no amount of quantity to talk about this, right? I think we could talk about this all week, but we only have an hour, so I'm going to stop there. But, man, the Rams getting to Tyler Shough and how he handles that, because it will happen, is something that everybody needs to watch.
Yeah. Well, I would say – go ahead, Dylan.
No, you go ahead.
I was just saying, if you are a betting person, the over/under on Tyler Shough interception and a Jared Verse sack is looking probably really good on the odds. So I would probably put that bet in right now.
Yeah. There's someone I would normally suggest you use, but they're not sponsoring this episode, so I'm not going to do it.
I didn't say whoever.
I don't know.
You don't pay, you don't get mentioned. No.
But go ahead. You can check in our description. They're still there. Anyway. Hey, Darian, I actually do have a question for you.
Stop revealing my identity. It's the second time it's happened. I have to take the mask off because they know who it is.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Saints versus Buccaneers offense.
Saints versus anybody right now.
All right. And as Ghostface comes in, oh my, that is scary. I have something to reveal, guys. It was me the whole time.
It's Dylan.
Dylan.
What?
It was me. It wasn't Wario. You could check out.
Cannot believe that.
You can check out this show again on Sunday whenever we come back, right after the Saints beat the Buccaneers. But until then, thank you. I mean, beat the Rams. Aaron has me flustered. I mean, Ghostface has me flustered. Thank you for listening to the Saints Squad Show. Check out me, Darian, or Ghostface, and Sean on our socials for the latest. I want you to text Ross and Lance or tweet them or text them being in Locked On Saints Insider subtext. What's your favorite scary movie? That's what I want to know. But until then, we'll be right back on Sunday to talk about this game, what happens, and if the Saints have a starting quarterback of the future, because it's all going to be decided on Sunday.